Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my own asexual life journey, all to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribe and hit that bell icon right now so you never miss an episode. In this channel, I cover dating, relationships from an asexual point of view, asexual love, life, friendships, confidence, and so much more. Today's topic is about dealing with a breakup or the breakaway of a connection and the loss and grief you may be feeling and experiencing because of this. So if you follow my channel and you keep up to date with everything, you'll know that I had to break away from someone who I had love and still do have love feelings for very, very recently. And I have been finding it really difficult to deal with those emotions, right? Because this person I had a really deep emotional connection with, and as asexuals we love through a deep emotional connection. This is how we love. As we're not really interested in genitalia, we don't look at someone usually if we're a pure asexual and think, oh, I want to have sex with that person. That's not in our remit, that's not in our mind, that's not the way we're wired. We look to form bonds with people and to, if we're a romantic person, develop a romantic connection with one or more people, depending on whether you're monogamous or polyamorous. And, you know, when we form that deep emotional bond with someone, obviously this can apply to friendships as well. It can be really difficult if you've got to break away from that person. With a romantic relationship or with a romantic feeling or romantic connection, you're more likely to going to have to break away from that person than you would be if it was just a friendship. Because with love and connection in a romantic sense, it can be really heartbreaking or very painful to stay in contact with that person. And also, if you're looking for future romantic relationships or relationship with someone else, then you don't really want to be having ex person still having a connection with you that will pull you different directions, because you'll always be panging for the person that you kind of like lost, wishing or maybe hoping that maybe they'll get back with you or see you again or connect with you, and maybe something will happen in the future, and you just don't want that. So you have to have like unambiguous clarity when it comes to disconnecting from someone. You have to know that it's truly over and there's no going back, at least at that point. It doesn't mean to say that people don't get back together years later. I have known it to happen. When I say get back together, that's if you were in a relationship in the first place, right? You might not be in a relationship. It might be just a really, really strong connection and a potential relationship, or something that is like a relationship but wasn't. And so it's really, really difficult because I am going through a lot of emotional pain and upset at the moment. I am grieving for the loss of this person who came into my life and who I developed a deep emotional connection with, loved in terms of like love feelings really, really strongly for this person. I thought they were my Indian asexual soulmate, who they didn't even know they're asexual. I mean, they're on the grey, very grey end of the spectrum as far as I can work out. But my soulmate doesn't have to be like asexual if he's Indian, but I just believe he's on the asexual spectrum. He's asexual. Like, obviously people who are all across the asexual spectrum usually class themselves as asexuals. So, you know, anyway, it was really, really difficult. Developed a really strong bond with this person, really, really good connection, really easy to talk to, and I thought we had some similarities in the type of person we wanted, especially, but we were incompatible because he wants kids and I don't, which I told him about before he even pursued me. But anyway, it is what it is, and it's really heartbreaking. So how can you deal with these emotions? First of all, you have to literally deal with them. You have to recognize that you do feel this way about the person, that you do love them, or you do care about them, you do have strong feelings for them. And you have to like recognize that, you know, and honor that in yourself, honor the fact that you can feel these emotions. Some people have very strong disassociation with themselves and they can't feel their emotions. And so while that's may be very painful, it's really important to acknowledge those emotions and, you know, feel them and accept that they're painful and face them head on. Because if you bury those emotions, they will just crop up years and years later, months and months, and they'll be repressed emotions, and they'll really like affect your self-esteem, your nervous system, your functioning. And so whilst you may have difficulties facing them head on when they initially happen, that's the best time to face them, because then you can work through them. You have to go through the pain. And it's really heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. If you thought this person was your soulmate or like bestest friend, had a deep connection with them, any of the above, then it's like ripping your soul into and ripping your heart out, especially if you like loved them deeply, so, or had really strong love feelings for them. It's really, really hard. But you've just got to know this time shall pass, that you've probably got through past relationship or connection difficulties before and had to let someone go. And in the end, it did work out, and you were fine and they were fine and they found someone else, and maybe you found someone else or you didn't find someone else, but you were happy on your own. And so, you've got to just realize that this time shall pass. And if you've got evidence of it passing before with past connections or past relationships, then you can know that this can pass again. Does that mean to say you're going to forget the person? Probably not. But once you get to the stage, like months or years later, or however long it takes you to heal, you can just like look at them and think, I'm okay with them being with someone else now, or I'm okay with them not being with me, and it's for the best, we're not together anymore. But you have to just think about that now, even though you don't think that now. But you have to realize that you have thought that about other people in the past, so you can think that about this person again. And you can heal, but it will probably take a long time. It takes me at least 8 months to stop having love feelings for someone, and sometimes it can take even longer than that. It's really difficult for me. As a hyper romantic, it's harder than ever, but you have to remember, this time shall pass. It's not the end of the world, even though it might feel like parts of your world has ended and they weren't the right person for you. If you watch my previous video, the one before the last one, it was a live stream, that is. It was all about the fact they're not the one for you if they did not choose you. This person chose kids over me, which you might say is fine because people want kids, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, I told him I didn't want kids before he even perceived me. So therefore, we both ended up getting hurt when we connected after that. And then he didn't tell me till I asked him outright if he want kids or not sometime later. And I had no inclination of that. So that's been difficult, but I have to understand that this guy's not the right guy for me. If he was, he would have told me up front anyway about kids, and he wouldn't have been the right guy for me anyway in that case, but he would have been honest and upfront from the beginning, about that. So it's a shame because we got on really well, and we did have a really deep emotional connection, and he likes older girls, I like younger guys. So yeah, and I thought in some ways he was my dream guy, but I guess I was right in that moment, but wrong overall, because he can't be the guy for me. So I just have to be thankful that I had some time with him in some ways, and that, I had that experience with him of the deep emotional connection, and that also I'm thankful that it has ended sooner rather than later. I had to disconnect from him when he decided that no, he definitely wants children, and that's it. So he made that choice, which is fine. I'm glad he made that choice and decision. And then I had to break away, because like I've said on this channel before, you cannot be with the right person if you still got the wrong one in your life. I actually know a lot of people, well, I've come across a lot of Indian guys specifically, who are still in connection with their ex, and they still long for their ex, they still love their ex, even if their ex is married to someone else, and this is how they're going to go on through the rest of their life, just pining for their ex. I don't believe in being like that for eternity. You cannot move on to anyone else. And these people, some of them want another relationship, they want a new relationship, and they don't realize that until they get over the old relationship, they can't be in a new relationship, because it's just never going to work out. So you have to grieve and admit the feelings you've got for this person and go through the pain. And it can be really disconcerting. It can make you feel a bit disconnected from things. It literally can, like I said, feel like you're ripping your heart and soul into. It's been ripped out from your body or something. It's really horrible. And I don't wish this pain on anyone. It's really not nice. And it's very upsetting. Like, I feel like I want to burst into tears all the time, even though like, I know that there's a lot of good stuff in my life. So this is what you need to do is, like, obviously you have to go through the grief and recognize the emotions and do grieve and do cry a lot. It's very important. I did that straight away, cry for hours, like, and I had a friend with me at the time. Now obviously my friends have got their own lives, so they're busy doing their own thing, and like I'm left with the grief to deal with by myself, which is fine. That's what an adult has to do. But it's hard, because when you've got friends to talk to, it's much more of a distraction. So you do need to like grieve and get the emotions out, get all the cry out as much as possible, work through them. But then you do need to obviously start moving forward with your life bit by bit. You need to make sure you're pursuing your hobbies and interests, and that you're taking them up again if you spent time away from them when you were engrossed in that person. You need to make sure that you're looking after yourself in terms of eating and drinking. Self-care is very important, that you're not just staying in bed all day, every day, like being miserable and depressed. That's not good for you. And, go outside if you feel claustrophobic, or you need some air, or you need to be around people, even if your friends are busy. Also make sure that you're pursuing your passions, because when you pursue your passions, there will be a bit within you that will ignite your heart again, ignite the flame of resilience within you. It will raise you to higher vibrations. So when you're in a really low vibration, you're feeling down, maybe depressed, maybe like a bit in despair, disconnected, lonely, alone. Like, I don't usually feel lonely or alone, but I have been feeling a bit alone and lonely because of this. It's like, this is not me. So because it's a loss though, so you kind of feel alone and lonely from that loss, if you know what I mean. But it's good to occupy your time with things that you're passionate about and excited about, because when you raise your vibration from a low vibration to a high vibration, and then you maintain and sustain that vibration, it's a lot easier to get over the person, because you are feeling better about yourself and being with yourself without them. The more you can feel better about being without them and being yourself without them, the more easier it's going to be. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be easier to get on with your life and to move forward. Sometimes people just aren't compatible, and you have to admit that. Of course it's difficult, because there's always that bit in your head that goes, is that person going to come back into your life? Are you going to be compatible in the future? Is someone going to change their mind? I will definitely never change my mind on kids. I've known since 15 years old I never want children. And it's never ever changed. So I've got a lot more years of being fixated in that, if you know what I mean. I have changed my view on marriage though, because I used to want to get married and now I don't. So you can change your major deal breakers. Some people do change on things. But that doesn't mean to say the person's still going to be right for you. There might be other aspects that they're just not right for you in either, not just the main one or main ones that you broke up with them for, or you broke away from them. It might not be a relationship. It might be, I wasn't in a relationship as such with this person, but we were having a romantic connection type of relationship, which wasn't actually an official relationship, if you know what I mean. So I had to break away, I'll say, rather than break away, because there was nothing to break up from, but I broke away from them. Blocking someone and breaking away is an act of kindness to both yourself and them, even though it might be really difficult, because that gives them a chance to move on more. If you've always got your inbox open to them, they've always got their inbox open to you. It's like they could just slide into your DMs whenever they damn well feel like it and upset you again. By trying to connect with you again, even though they know it's not possible to have a relationship with you because you're incompatible. I didn't want that happening to me. So it's all about safeguarding yourself and safeguarding the other person. It's about allowing the other person to move forward and move on to the relationship of their dreams, meeting the girl that they want. Me disconnecting from them is doing them a favor, so that their future partner and love of their life will know that this person's not in contact with the person they used to love anymore. And so that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to do it for your own good, to safeguard yourself and your emotions, and to help them as well. It's really difficult. It's breaking away from someone is really, really hard and tough. It's one of the toughest things, especially if you've got a deep emotional connection, especially if you have like such a way with that person, talking to that person, especially if you find them very asexually compatible with you as well. That's what's really difficult, because I know it's very rare to find that. And it's like, I believe that if you find a love and connection that's really rare, precious and true, you should hold on to it for dear life, in the sense that you should really appreciate it, want to make it work and all the rest of it. But if the other person isn't compatible with you, you have to let them go. And you have to realize there is going to be someone who's even better for you, that's going to come along, who's going to choose you over anything else, who's going to make you a priority in their life, who's going to love you and give you all the care, attention and needs that you can possibly want, that they can fulfill. Obviously, a person cannot fulfill all your needs. I'm not saying that. But there'll be someone who wants to please you, who wants to make you happy, who wants to fulfill those needs as much as possible, who wants to bring you up, who wants to make you feel special and wanted and needed and loved, who gives you lots of good positive vibes consistently and persistently, not just at the beginning. You know, a lot of people who connect at the beginning, they're on their best behavior all the time, showing their best bits, and they're being their best self. It's only after time that you really realize and understand a person a lot more, and if they're compatible with you or not. But obviously, deal breakers should be given at the beginning. Like, my deal breaker is I don't want sex, marriage or kids. You know, they're big deal breakers for me, and I need a guy who's in the UK. I'm not moving abroad, and who can stay in the UK of his own accord without marriage to me or anyone else. So yeah, it's kind of like very important that you do have difficult conversations at the beginning, so that you limit the damage that's done if you have to break away. You know, luckily I didn't know this person that long, but the time I did know them, it's like, oh my God, it's such a deep connection, like blows my mind, you know. But you know, so you have to realize that you will have other connections with other people. You will have deep connections. You'll have someone in your life that loves and adores you for who you are. And the best thing is to love yourself that much, you know, and be the person that you need to be for yourself. Like, love yourself, hug yourself, kiss yourself, be with yourself. Know that you're wonderful and amazing just as you are. And if that person walked out, or if that person, maybe they didn't walk out, I disconnected from them, but they walked out of my life in the sense that they chose kids over me. And so that's a walking out, that's their decision, that's a leaving a possible relationship scenario, where, you know, even if it's a virtual sense, you know. So you've got to understand that it's fine, and rejection is fine as well. I can take rejection, because at the end of the day, it means that that person's disqualified themselves from being a right partner for me. You know, there was other things besides kids that did crop up as an issue. So, you know, if you look at it as a whole, the situation with the person that you're breaking up or breaking away from, I'd like you to ask yourself, like, was there anything else than the thing that you had to break up or break away from them? Was there anything else going on that might not have been right? And if you think about it, there's probably a few things that made them not actually compatible or suitable with you. And you can start stacking some of those things up, as in against being with them, so that it can make you feel better about not being with them, because you've got multiple reasons not to be with them, not just one. I mean, obviously, them wanting kids and me not the major reason. I mean, you can't really get too much bigger than that. But obviously, the sex and marriage is equally big. But you know what I mean? It's like easier to think that person's not right for you if you stack multiple reasons of why they're not right for you, rather than just one. And talking about like distractions, it's good to involve yourself in activities and things where, you know, you flourish and shine. So today I start a 3-day boot camp. That was always planned before I ever met this person online. And so as I met, I never video chatted with them actually. I did want to, but you know, because I think sometimes it's better to do that in case of a what if scenario. But when you categorically know you're not compatible anyway, then you have to just let that type of thing go. But I'm doing a 3-day boot camp, which is a speaker author boot camp I'm attending. And it's been amazing before. And it's in less than 2 hours it starts. It's like a 9-hour day. It's on for 3 days. So I'm going to be really busy over the next 3 days. And it's very high octane energy. People are all on like a spiritual level there. And they're all like really bubbly and shiny and bright. And they're all like excitable. And it will just bring my like energy levels and my feelings and emotions up a lot more higher. And for 3 days to sustain and maintain that is going to be really good for me, because at the moment I'm just feeling so upset, like I want to cry all the time. And so, like, even though I know that I'll get over this person, even though I know this person can't be the right person for me, it doesn't stop the hurt and the pain. They've clearly, we're just completely not compatible. So, it's hard. I say completely not compatible. Obviously, there were some compatibilities there, but overall now you just got to look at it as a whole, that you're not not compatible, and that's it. So whilst it's really difficult, just know that this time shall pass. Treat yourself with loving tenderness and kindness. If you both loved each other, that's really much harder to split up or break away, in the sense that you really loved each other. But in some ways, it's good to know that. It's good to know that you've ended things with the person who actually genuinely cared about you and loved you, rather than some person who didn't even give a toss. Do you know what I mean? So that's a comfort in some ways, but then it makes it harder in the sense that it's like, why aren't you two together then if you love each other so much? Like, you should just be together if you love each other and you're asexually compatible and you have all strong feelings and you get on really well. What's the problem? And it's like, well, they want kids and I don't. Yeah, okay, that's the major problem. And yeah. And there were some things like boundaries and stuff that I think the person needs to work on, boundaries with other people more and stuff like that. So, but overall, I thought I really liked them, I thought they were nice to talk to and everything. So, it's hard, but, I'm sure I will get over this, and I'm sure I will rise and shine even more again. I'm just feeling a little down at the moment, which is not me, and it's like really hard. But it's okay to feel down. It's okay to feel grief and loss, and it's okay to love someone even if they just came into your life and you happen to end up loving them. Some people don't believe you can love someone quickly, but I know that's not true. I know from personal experience that I can love someone really quickly, and it's quick to love but really hard to not love them. And it's just the way it is. I can't deny my feelings or emotions because I'd be denying a part of who I am. And so I just have to admit it, and deal with it and deal with the consequences of that. For every action, there's a reaction. For every cause, there's an effect. When someone says to you, or if anyone says to you, like, you're bringing this on yourself or you're upsetting yourself, this is actually a gaslighting thing in the sense that you can't bring something on yourself and hurt yourself, in the sense that if someone did an action, that then caused a reaction. And so for them to like disregard the fact that they did that action, if they're the ones who did it, or there wasn't action there, is to like blur your reality. Like, you didn't happen and you're doing it yourself. No one tries to hurt themselves on purpose and stuff like that. Well, I guess there are a few people that do like purposely hurting themselves because they hate themselves a lot. So in that sense, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I didn't choose to love this person. It just happened. And so be very, very careful if people start saying stuff like, oh, you brought it on yourself, or you did this to yourself, or you shouldn't fall in love so easily, and all this lot. At the end of the day, it happens, and you can't blur your reality in pretending that it's not happened if that's the way you truly feel. And people shouldn't be blurring your reality anyway. It's your reality, it's your life, Of course, for every action, there's a reaction, and you can change your reaction to it. But it takes time to change your reaction. You're a person who's living in the moment, experience these raw emotions, and that is the way it is for you. You can't denying your feelings just because someone else doesn't like them or can't comprehend them or doesn't understand them. It's just not good. You don't have to change your feelings or emotions for anyone. If you fell in love quickly with a person, it happens. I know people who end up loving each other very quickly and end up being in relationships for years. My best female friend who's not asexual, who went to live in Turkey with her partner, she like fell in love with him and moved in with him within 6 weeks, and now she's been with him for like 4 years, I think it is. And they live together in Turkey now. They moved there last year, so it can happen really quickly, and people can be together forever. She's engaged to him now, so like, it's just like, it is possible that can happen. People saying it can't is just not facing the reality that some people have. And no one, if someone's being horrible and saying you bring it on yourself, you're hurting yourself, that's a really nasty, narcissistic thing to say. I'm just saying this in case someone said this type of thing to you. It's a red flag. That's a narcissistic, it's blurring your reality. Why would you hurt yourself? Why would anyone purposely go and hurt themselves in general unless they really self-loathe themselves, in a scenario where you love someone, you couldn't help it, that's the way it is. Some people love really quickly, some people just don't love at all. Some people takes ages for them to love someone. Some people, they can love someone very, very quickly, but it takes ages to actually love another person. And so, we're all different and we have to embrace our differences. We have to support each other and be there for each other and bring each other up and know that it's okay to experience these emotions. It's okay to go through them. It's okay to face them. It's okay to deal with them. And it's okay to be happy again. It's okay to let that person go. It's okay to block that person. It's okay to do them a favor when you block them and just remove them from your life when you need to. It doesn't mean to say you don't think about them sometimes, or they're not sometimes in your heart, but once you're truly over them, which could take a very long time, then you'll be happy for them that they've got someone else or they've moved on, and vice versa, probably if they're over you. But I do know some people who don't get over people. I do know, like I said, Indian guys particularly, I've come across a lot in the dating world, and they're still hankering after their ex. They still love the first person they ever loved. And they're like, oh, now she's with someone else. I'm like, well, what did you expect? Another man stepped up to the plate and became the man that you can be. And instead of complaining about it, you should have done something about it. If you don't want another man to have the woman of your dreams, then you damn well become the man you need to be with her. Otherwise, just don't bother being with her and go and find someone more suitable, someone that you can be the guy you need to be for her naturally. You know what I mean? There's no point in complaining about it if you actually let that person go. If you let that person go from your life, you've either got to become the person they need you to be, or and step up to the plate and become that person, or you've got to back away and let the better person, the better man, or whoever it is, be there for that person, So, that's what you've got to do. And the amount of guys I come across, it's why are you still hankering after your ex? What's the point if they've gone from your life and you're not even with them anymore? You have to move on, or you should have become the man they need you to be in the first place to be that guy and not have another guy with the woman of your dreams. Do you know what I mean? It's just so frustrating and annoying when I hear that. Some guys, they've loved the person they loved at school and they still love them. They love the first person they ever loved and they always love them, and they never ever move on really in their heart. And and therefore they always end up with the same repeat pattern of problems in future relationships, because they can never be happy with someone else because they still love the previous person. And they still adore that previous person. They still really want to be with that person. Something in their mind wants to be with that person. So if you're the type of person who's sitting here hankering after your ex, yet they're with someone else, that's on you for not stepping up to the plate and becoming that person needs you to be. And the better guy got the girl in the end. A good woman is not going to hang around. Even if she loves you and is sad that you broke up or broke away from each other and disconnected, she's not going to wait for you. Once she knows that you're not compatible, she's going to move on. A high value, good quality woman does that. She doesn't stick around. She may deal with emotions properly and correctly and be upset for quite a long time, but she knows her value, she knows her worth, and she knows that she can get a better guy for her, will give her all that she wants, the love, care, and attention needs, and who'll love her and adore her for who she is. In my case, without kids. That's very important that they love me without kids, because I want someone to love my personality so much. That's why they want to be with me, because there's only one of Sandra and they just adore being with me as a person and my quirky personality and the fact I love a teenager style relationship permanently. I'll meet that guy who loves that. I'll meet the guy who loves a child-free life. I'll be like, oh, thank God I've got freedom. You'll not tie me down to a life of kids and nappies and schooling and parental stuff. You'll let me have my freedom as an individual adult with you, and growing together, and that's the most important thing, to find someone who you're compatible with on, your beliefs, morals, values, ethics, and someone who wants the same type of relationship with you, who's going to invest the same amount of time, energy, and effort into it and into you and the relationship, who's going to grow themselves as a person, not just say, oh, I'm like this, I can't change, but someone who's going to change themselves to become a better version of themselves, and help enable change within the relationship with you, so you can both become better people for each other. This is very, very important. So never ever forget, you're precious, you're beautiful. If that person isn't right for you, they're not right for you. If they didn't deserve you, which maybe they didn't, then they lost a gem, and they were lucky to have you in their life for the time they did. And you can both move on to passage new. It doesn't mean to say that either person of you is bad or wrong. It just means to say that you're incompatible and not right for each other, and sometimes that's just the tragedy and just the case. You need to move on while still loving the person, and knowing that one day you won't love them anymore and that you can love someone else. I believe in true love. I will never ever allow any guy to stop me believing that. I will never ever let any guy stop me believing I've got an Indian asexual soulmate somewhere in the world, even through all the heartache and pain. Even if I never ever find the right guy for me and I stay single all my life, overall, in the end, I will still be happy that I've had loads of experiences, that I gave it a go, that I tried my best to find the guy that I believe I've known from a past life. And that because I believe he's in his life, and he's like saying, where is there's something missing. Like, he's got a really good life. He's like independent on his own, but he like really knows that something's kind of missing, and he thinks there's no one there for him to love him. And it's like, I'm here, darling. So yeah, that guy. But if not, I'll have wonderful experiences. I'll go to more Bollywood events and more stuff to do with Indians. And I probably was in the Indian community in a previous life. And it just feels like home. So it's good to me, and I've got to follow my heart. I've got to follow my beliefs. I've got to, however crazy they may be, and wherever it takes me, it's a wonderful life adventure in the end that, I wouldn't want to be without the adventure. I think it's good for me, even though it's really painful and heartbreaking and heart-wrenching at the moment, especially, I still am glad that I tried to find the right guy for me. I'm still glad that I pursue this avenue of interest, and I'm still glad that I follow my own intuition and beliefs, no matter what anyone else thinks, says, or does, that I still be me and true to who I am and true to my heart and my soul. That's very important. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter how other people judge you or criticize you, or, all that matters is what you think, what you know, and what you are. And just be the best version of you, and just keep being beautiful you. Keep knowing that you do deserve love, you do deserve happiness. You can find someone eventually for a relationship if you want it, but you just need to keep working on yourself in the meantime. Keep working on your life, and you have to just let someone go who's not the right person for you. Another reason why you have to let a person go is because if you maintain the connection with them, there'll always be a what if, right? You don't want that. If that person is the right person for you, but just it's the wrong timing, they will come back into your life years later when the timing's right, if you're meant to be together. But it requires action taking. That person's got to take action in order to do the necessary changes before they come back. Never ever like get back with someone when they say, oh, I still love you, let's get back together. That's not a reason to get back together, unless it's not, if there's not been a fundamental change, you cannot get back together. So if someone come back into your life like years later, and they're like, oh, I really love you, I miss you, I really want you, I want to get back with you, I want to be with you, but nothing has changed, then you still cannot be in a relationship with them. They fundamentally need to change what the problem was in the first place in order to get back with them. If nothing's changed, you're just like going down the same heartbreak road, and it's like, no, thank you. Stay moved on, stay on your course, stay on your own life path, and leave them be. That's the worst thing a guy can do. Oh, I still love you, I still want you, I still need you. It's like, yeah, but what have you changed? How have you grown as a person? Have you changed the issues and problems we had before? How has anything actually changed? And are you going to change your mind again? Or are you going to change back again? You know, people need to change on a fundamental level. It normally takes a couple of years if there's really big issues there, you know? And it's something they have to change on their own. They can't change just because you want them to change, or because, you know, it would end up them being in a relationship with you, because that's not how it works. You know, they have to fundamentally change because they want to change, if they want to change. And if they don't want to change, they should not come back into your life. They should leave you alone, because it's better that you go on your own life path and be single forever, or have the chance of meeting the right guy for you, or any gender, than have that person back in your life who's clearly not going to be suitable for you still. Right? Do not ever let them repeat that pattern with you. Let them go, you know, let them go. The only time you should even consider someone coming back in your life is if they fundamentally changed on a root level. And if they're not prepared to do the work for that, they're not prepared to work on an actual relationship and be healthy. Having a healthy long-term relationship requires a lot of work and commitment and dedication. It requires you to be vulnerable with the person, for you to open up to the person, for you to realize that your flaws and your weaknesses and your strengths, for the other person to not play on your weaknesses and to not use them against you. It requires you to obviously work together to heal past pain together. And it also requires you to work on your own to heal your past pain. It requires you to be loving and caring towards each other, not resentful or anything like that. So do not ever let someone back in your life, however much you love, care, and want them, if they're not going to be good for you, if the problems are still there that were there before. You cannot do that. It's just like it's just like cutting into a whole open old wound and literally like digging in there, you know. It's grotesque. It's a very messy thing. So you don't want to do that. You want to just let each other go. And unless that person's worked on themselves, do not allow them back into your life, because there's no point. They do not deserve you if they cannot work on themselves and change themselves and change the things that's wrong about what happened between you. Doesn't mean to say they are wrong or you are wrong. It might just be that you're wrong people for each other. But if they are coming back into your life and they're saying specifically they want a relationship with you, and there was things that weren't right between you, those things have to be fixed in order for you to be together. Otherwise, you can't be together. Right. So obviously, if you're going through emotional heartache and pain, one of the worst things is to stay connected to that person. Because if they reach out and still say, I love you and I miss you, but then they don't change and nothing's different, it just leads you crying all the time. Like, I did not want that for myself. Like, I love myself so much, despite the fact that I'm in so much like upset and pain right now emotionally. I love myself so much that I will not ever do that to myself. I will not stay connected to someone who doesn't deserve to stay connected to me, because they are not good for me, because they will upset me, because they're not the right person for me, because they need to go from my life, you know? And so that's something that you do. If you love yourself, you safeguard yourself, and you're like doing them a favor by saying, hey, okay, you're free to go to someone else now. You're free to love someone else. You're free to be with someone else. You're free to do what you like, you know, and I wish you well, basically. You know, so it's really difficult. It's really heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. It's like, you know, like when you love someone, it's like your soul really loves someone on a deep level, emotionally and spiritually. It's like your soul and heart is ripped in two. And it's really hard to pick up those pieces and put them back together again. But you have to do it. And you know in the future you will do it. But right now you might just have them shattered everywhere, right? And you have to pick all the pieces up. You know, but you will heal and you will get through it. It just takes a long time sometimes, you know. And it is really difficult, you know. But like I said, like, pursue your passions and your dreams and what makes you happy, and know that there's nothing, like, you know, if the person like isn't compatible with you, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, there's nothing wrong with me because that person's not compatible for me. I told them up front that I didn't want children. I was very honest. I was as you know. And so, you know, there's nothing that I did that was wrong. I just told them the truth, you know, and they didn't reveal that to me till we both got hurt, unfortunately. You know, and that's disappointing, but at least I know I did no wrong. You know, I didn't do anything, like, there's nothing I could have done to make that situation better. You know, I fundamentally haven't wanted kids since I was 15. I don't want that lifestyle, don't want that life. To me, that's an awful life. I know lots of people in the mainstream will not agree with me, but I really think it's an awful life, being tied down to kids if you really don't want them. I just don't, I would be a different person if I had that type of life. I already consider that at the age of 15, and I knew my own mind. The doctors go, "You'll change your mind when you're older." It's like, really, I won't. I'm a girl who's known what she wants for a very long time. I had my first heterosexual relationship at 6 years old. That was really kind of weird. So although I'm younger in my mindset and lifestyle now and the way I like to live, I was very old soul years ago. And so even before the age of 10, I was very old for my age, and I knew what I wanted. So my first serious relationship, I suppose, was, well, I've had a number of relationships. I had a lot of relationships in my teen years, but I had my first long-term relationship when I was 17 years old. I moved out of home when I was 19. So I knew what I wanted from a very young age. That's why some people are like, "Oh, well, you like younger guys, but younger guys don't know what they want." And that's not true. I knew. Yeah, maybe it is true for some guys. I do agree with you. But I mean, it's not true for every guy. I knew very early on what I wanted, exactly what I wanted. I have changed somewhat because I used to want marriage and I definitely don't now. So it has changed for me. But that's because the people I was with ended up not being right for me. And the whole conditioning that society gives you, the sex, marriage, and kids rubbish, that conditioning that, oh, you've got to be happy. And in order to be happy, you have to do X, Y, and Z because this is normal behavior. You go out to work, you get married, you settle down, you have sex, you have kids, and then you wake up finally, or some people don't, they're just in a like robotic trance for the rest of their life. But if you wake up to the reality, it's like, oh my God, you don't have to do that. You can go your own way. You can live an individualistic life. You can play by your own rules of life. You can have your own culture. You can go your own way, even from your family. I love my parents to bits, but I'm opposite of my parents. If I tried to be like my parents, I would be damn miserable. And, we're totally opposite. Like, my parents are very passive. I'm very active. My parents like quiet life. Well, I like quiet in the sense that, I don't like horrible stuff going on, like swearing, shouting, abuse and that, but I like a noisy life in the terms of like high octane energy, going to nightclubs, listening, like going to the cinema and stuff like that. So I like noise in a good way. And my parents don't kiss in public. I love kissing in public. My parents are like, "How can you kiss a stranger?" I'm like, well, I like kissing, so if I'm in a club, I'll kiss a stranger, and stuff like that. Um, and my parents in favor of marriage. They've been married for like 53 years now, 54 this year. And so they're really like a traditional marriage as well. Like, my mum's a housewife, my dad was going out to work, he's retired now. But my mum's still a housewife for him all the time. So, it's totally opposite to who I am. I don't want to cook, clean, or do anything for a guy like that. So, it's important to understand that you don't have to live a normal life. You don't have to go with the norm. And I just don't like marriage concept now. I'm just like, a woman's usually subservient to a guy expects her to cook and clean, and I like living separately anyway. So I just don't even like being tied down by jewelry. I think I would not be myself in a marriage. I like the romantic idea of marriage. I love it, like the security and romance. That's still quite strong in me. But overall, I just don't want it. So I'm like, no, I can get security and romance in a relationship without a piece of paper, and if I'm not secure in a relationship without a piece of paper, I definitely won't be secure with a piece of paper, because security comes from the connection and the trust and the bond and the love you have between each other, not by a piece of paper. So that shouldn't make any difference whatsoever. So, I love my individual life. I do love leading my very quirky life, and I want a guy who's really going to complement that, who's really going to be like quirky like me, different, individualistic, not going with a sex, marriage, and kids, not having to stick to his culture or traditions, going his own way respectfully and saying, "Hey, that's you, this is me. I play by my own rules of life and I live my own rules," and although they might love their family and get on well with them, they literally can say, "Look, as an adult, this is me, and I want you to accept it about me. If you don't, I'm still going to do it anyway," because that's what I'm like. I was built up very conservatively, if you like. I had a sheltered life as a childhood thing, and I was brought up with certain like kind of Christian values, and which some are really, really good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't take drugs or anything like that. I don't go around having sexual affairs, or I have had sex in the past and asexual, but they was always in relationships. I didn't have sex outside of a relationship. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I just been brought up not well. I've been brought up you should not have sex before marriage as well, and it's something clearly that I have done because I didn't get married. I have had sex, so I don't agree with that either. I think you should, if you're going to have sex, you should have sex before marriage. That's a personal thing that I think, because I think if you marry someone and they're sexually incompatible with you, you've got a real big problem on your hands. Right, a real big problem. That's why it's important if you're asexual to make sure you're with a compatible sexual person. Like if you're asexual sex repulsed, you need to be with another asexual sex repulsed person, or a person that really doesn't need sex at all. Because if you get married to someone and they want sex and you don't, it's going to be a life of hell, and it's going to be a life of upset and pain for them. They're going to feel rejected. You're going to feel pressured, and it's going to be horrible for you. That's why arranged marriages are really bad if you're asexual. If your marriage is arranged to someone who's not asexual and they have a high sex drive and you don't, it can be very, very bad. I've had women, not just Indian, Pakistani women as well, in my inbox saying, like, I'm married to this highly heterosexual guy and he wants sex. And I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm scared. I'm frightened. It's awful for them. So, I personally would always go my own way, even though like, I know that culturally society expects you to do certain things. I hear it all the time from like Indians who like want to follow the tradition of their family, but at what cost to them? Do they not realize they're an individual who can choose their own life, who can lead their own path, who can do their own thing? Are they going to sit on their deathbed and regret the fact that their family chose something or someone for them that really wasn't the right person for them? I'm not saying they're not going to be the right person. Some arranged marriages work out really, really well. In my experience, the ones that work out, the ones where the guy's older and maybe the girl's older and they can make their own choices and decisions, so they have a say in who they marry. That's in my experience. So I knew an Indian guy who was 30, very highly heterosexual. He used to say a lot of sexual stuff to me. I'm actually still friends with him on Facebook, but he doesn't talk to me anymore. Since he got married, he's a good guy, much better guy, and he stopped me being able to private message, so we can only comment on each other's posts. And I'm glad he did that, because he was still saying stuff to me when he first got married that he shouldn't have been saying, really, because he was married, and now he's a good guy. And his wife is very beautiful for him, And we were never going to be able to be compatible, obviously, because he's highly sexual. I'm not. He was interested in me. I don't even know if he asked me for marriage years ago, but it's just like not compatible. So I'm glad he's found a really good wife for him, someone who's got he told me she's got a high sex drive like he has. So I was really pleased for him, even though he's like a bit creepy with me because of all the sex stuff he used to talk about. He used to like sit, like video chat with me and have his shirt off in bed and goes, "Oh, do you like me?" or something. I'm like, "I like the curtains behind you, or the bedding, or the plant, or something." He's like, "But what about me?" It's like, I wasn't interested because I'm not interested. So I thought he had a nice face, but I'm not. He was older anyway, so a bit older than I would usually go for. So, but you know what I mean. I'm not interested in genitalia. I'm not interested in his bit down below. Like he, at one point on a video call, he was like doing that, like in the bed, going up. I'm like, no, I just don't want to see this, please. I was like talking about the plant. I'm like, the plant's really nice. The decor's really nice, because I'm not interested in sex. But I will always go my own way. I mean, when you break free of societal conditioning, which most asexuals have already done by default because we're just not wired the way other people are, you actually realize that there is a different life, that you don't have to be like everyone else. But it requires strength of character. It requires like you to say, hey, look, this is who I am. I'm different to you. I'm different to the norm. You need to accept me for who I am. And if you don't, I'm still going to be me, because I accept me. I love me. I'm still damn well going to be with me. What would happen if you died tomorrow and you've lived a life that your parents want you to live? Will you regret it? Will you sit back on your deathbed thinking, oh my God, I just lived the life that my parents wanted me to lead, not the one I want to lead? Don't ever do that. You're wasting your life and you're wasting your time. You get one shot at this life, or this life in this lifetime, right here and right now. I do believe in past lives, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm in this one life here right now. Yes, people believe in multiverses and all those things, and I'm not saying they're not true, but I am here right now in this timeline as I'm talking to you, and I damn well want to live my life the right way for me in this timeline, in this life, right? So there's no way I'm going to live the life of my parents. I love my parents to bits, but me and my parents already know we're very different, and they do accept my asexuality, and they do accept that I'm going to be with the younger guy. I've told them years ago, and I think that's one of the really good things to do, is if you are different, is the sooner you tell your family and your parents you're different and how you're different, and they accept it, the better, because then you've like pre-qualified them for knowing you're going to lead a different life. Obviously, I used to be in sales for years. I don't know if you knew that about me, retail sales. And one of the things is you pre-qualify someone sometimes. So you handle objections before they've arisen. So basically, it means that you say things that's going to avoid conflict or down the line by actually bringing them up quicker and sooner. So you handle objections, you give the person something that they're likely to object about and tell them what it actually you're going to do, rather than allowing them to object to it. So when I told my parents years ago that I'm going to be not having children at 15, they already couldn't say years later, oh, you never told me that. It's already telling them and like giving them a sense of place of what's going to happen in my future. By telling them I'm asexual, it makes sense to them now of why I don't like nudity and stuff like that and not into sex. So, and by telling them I like younger foreign guys and that's who I'm going to be with, they already know that. So they're already aware of that. It's not going to be a shock to them when I bring a younger guy to see them eventually. I probably wouldn't do that for quite a while, because they're like, you need to be really sure of the person before you bring them around here. So, and anyway, they might see them on my channel or me talk about them, because my dad watches my channel anyway. So hello dad. So yeah, do you know what I mean? So always like say who you are, be yourself, and love who you love, you know. And if you love the same gender, that's fine. If you love multiple genders, that's fine. If you love one person, that's great. If you love multiple people, that's great. You know, you've got to do what's right for you, and you've got to let people know and be aware of who you truly are. Always be your authentic self, no matter what in life. Always live by your rules in life, be your authentic self, and love who you love and be who you are. And know that you'll get through any difficult emotions and you'll still rise again, you'll still shine again, you'll still be beautiful you, and you're beautiful you now, and I love you to bits. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video live stream. If you found it helpful, useful, insightful in any way, shape or form, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it if someone can benefit from the information in this video right now. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Lots of love to you. I'll see you soon in the next video live stream. Bye-bye. Bye.